Everybody, Gerone Wright here again, and once again you're joining me on my Gerone Wright YouTube channel. Again here I'm going to be taking a break from my usual discoveries, meaning the drawings and things of that nature, and I'm putting my heads back in the clouds and in space here, and I'd like to take you there with me in this video, if you don't mind. Okay, in this video I'm back with an image of Earth as it is being viewed from space. Okay, I did several videos on what is going on with the debris or the space junk which is around our in orbit with our planet, man-made objects which were artificially placed there to achieve communication or space travel. These objects which are no longer in use is called space junk. And that junk has accumulated to the tune and into the numbers of, I think there's tallied up at like about 20,000 pieces of space junk, which vary from unused satellites, tanks off of the shuttles, fuel tanks, capsules, and much more there. Okay. It's amazing. I just did a video about a week or so ago relating to how this stuff can actually be moved, and I stated that objects can be created by each country that put this mess there. They could actually create tow devices in the form of space vessels, which actually left our world on conventional fuel, and then once they got in space they could actually convert over to that of solar power energy and tow this stuff to the moon, where it could be recycled into for space colonizing on that of the moon, these objects, and taking us, meaning humans that are on the opposite end of this mess on Earth, out of harm's way if this stuff come crashing back down to the planet. Also, I have another video on before that relating to this, is the fact of the matter that a lot of the UFO sightings that we have been reoccurring since 1940, since the first man-made object was sent into space by mankind and Earth, that these UFO sightings have become consistently growing in number, to be exact, to the objects that are being placed in space. I drew up the scenario of our sun being an overhead projector, which creates radiated energy, which gives the projector its lighting. Space being its backdrop, which creates the dark room, like we expect to be for the way photos are developed. And once the sun's chemistry with the object that it hits, one of these man-made objects, radiates off of that, it actually gets projected, the image gets projected back into our through our atmospheric layers and onto our planet's skies, where people are witnessing a phenomenon which is created through a natural occurrence between energies that we have never been exposed to. And these images that we are seeing are images that were created by our own kind, but they just look weird because of the way they are being projected from outside in. It's a reversed projection process, and these images are coming. Well, you're probably saying, well, why aren't they happening all the time? I've actually have a scenario where I can imagine how these images, at the times they come in, where they come in, and why they are coming in. And I'll hold that back. I got to hold on to some things, people. But I mean, again, this is a logical scenario as to why we're seeing UFOs in our airspace, and those UFOs are consistent with objects and look like objects, which is consistent with our times. In other words, in 1940, people that were seeing UFOs, and let's say that it was a 1940 Cadillac, then that's what the people seeing in the skies. So here we are in 2014 when people are seeing UFOs. The UFOs are consistent with the time that they are in. If it was a 2040 Cadillac, then that's what people are seeing closeness in the object of being floating in the skies. You get the picture, people. We're not saying floating Cadillacs, but what I'm just saying is that the objects that account witnesses are saying of UFOs, they match the description and the times from which of those eras. That's what I'm telling you. Okay, now, what am I doing back here again with this image? I'm bringing it back for right now we're experiencing unusual weather in our area, cold, and obviously I'm in the house with nothing better else to do but then to pick and prick at my own mind. And I ran across this image again, and it just brings me back to another discovery that I had in mind. And this is the way people that you have to think outside of the box, and in order to find answers, which is relating to that of everything that is going on around you. We have unusual weather, we have global warming, we have glacier melting, we have volcanic activity going on. I'm just seeing over in Europe where Mount Etna is erupting again. You can Google that. That's a very scary image to me, by the way, too. I was telling a friend that, I mean, to see a volcano erupting on a glacier spot, like, you know what I mean, in a mountain glacier where, I mean, it's like 0 degrees cold. I mean, that's spooky to me, to be totally honest with me. You know, you would expect for that to be occurring, and then under oceanic waters, you know, you just seeing it. It's just like a so for real moment, saying, wow, you know what I mean? What is going on? I mean, what's stopping our planet from just erupting into a ball of fire? That's what I'm looking at. Okay, when I think of these locations, and I mean, people are amazed and all about it and all, and it's like, wow, I mean, this is something not to be turning your head away from, because I mean, just the very house that you are in, I mean, you could have a crater open up and a pit of fire start spewing out in the form of liquid volcanic matter. So, I mean, it's very serious to me. The next thing, I want to come back to this again. I mean, I'm going all over the place, but I just wanted to share some of the ideas and thoughts that I had in my head, because I have a lot going on here. Now, when I see this is 20,000 pieces of space debris that is in orbit with our planet. Metallic objects which were lost there, okay, and now being unused. Now, when I think of our world, and this will give you an idea of what's going on, each one of these metal objects creates energy, some form of energy. Right now, they some of them are used as satellites to transmit communication back into our world. It helps us get global communication, global television, for satellite spying, and for mapping. I mean, for a different bunch of chemistries that mankind benefit scientifically from, okay, which is understandable. But when you have so many objects, it creates a ridiculous scenario where there's a health issue that rises to the level and concern of it needs national attention. And this is where I'm at with this. Now, one of the things that I can see with this is that I'm going to take, and I'm going to go to another image here. And I'm going to go, and I hope I don't hit nothing I don't want to hit. Okay. Let me bring this up there. Okay. That's our world, and that's the sun. There's our moon right there. When I think of our world, and I think of the energy of the sun and all the creations that is caused by that, and how the existence of our world and its moon is caused for by the sun, I think of our planet as being an egg, and that is actually in an incubator, or in a microwave chemistry with the sun, where it is like on a rotisserie. And our planet, which has water and ice now, is slowly, as it is in this orbit of the sun, and in this time, that it's actually slowly being thawed out or relieved of its waters and its glacier portions, and eventually they become dried out to the point to where we'll be looking at something like Mercury and Venus. And that's what I believe that this has always been about. And I came to this conclusion on what I feel space is, and I'm not going to go pretty much all the way into detail. But anyway, so you take this and you look at this scenario for what it truly is. You have a ball, a hulking mass ball of fire, flame, radiation, radiated energy. Not actually an open flame as we're in a fire, but you have the radiated energy, the heated energy from this ball emitted onto our world, which is causing for evaporation and glacier melts and all of this, that, and the third. So this is radiation. It's the same radiation chemistry that you get from this guy. It's similar. That's a microwave. Okay? That's a microwave, and we all use microwaves. For those of you in the parts of the world that are fortunate enough to have one, I know most of us take it for granted, but I do know that there are some people in our world that do not have a microwave. But this is a microwave, people, and it creates microwave energy where something, piece of food or something frozen, can be put in there and thawed out or be cooked. And in that chemistry, what's happening is you put it in on a plate and it turns around in an evolution similar to that of the way our world is in evolution with our sun and in a rotation with our sun. And the deal with that is that if you own the microwave from some period of time, you know that you don't put objects in there with either a metallic wrapping or something with a band like that of a wrap, like with on your bread. Or you definitely wouldn't put a spoon, a metallic spoon, or a knife. This is a butter knife. This is a tablespoon and a butter knife inside of there. Because what would happen is that you would short circuit your microwave out and it would blow. Right? We got that part. And I'm using these objects because these objects give you a real-time scenario of what we're dealing with here. So I want to go back to what we had here with that of our space junk. And this is the problem that we're having with our world today. Because people, we placed our world in a compromising position to where its microwave energy, the chemistry between it and the sun, is now being compromised by all of these metallic objects that we placed in space. And I just have a tablespoon and a butter knife. But we're talking about on a scale of things, of objects almost to the size of like school buses or maybe tractor and trailers that we placed in space, and you have to the tune of about 20,000 of these objects in rotation with our planet. So what is happening? Well, if we put metallic objects in our microwaves, we short circuit the microwave. So now we have a similar scenario where we have placed so many objects in our planet atmospheres that it is highly feasible and conceivable to imagine that these objects are now interfering with many aspects of our own Earth's chemistry, meaning its magnetic poles, its climate, and other things such as living beings, meaning mankind and animal kind alike. Because people, this debris comes between an umbilical cord, which is attaching our world to that of the sun. So everything here is creating an artificial scenario that's threatening not only the core energy of our planet, but that of also of man and animal kind in our world. Because there is a short circuit between our world and the sun because of these objects. These short circuits are causing what? The magnetic bands and magnetic fields to come back into our world to be interrupted, altered, diverted, ricocheted, anything that you can possibly imagine as occurring. These objects also, you can imagine, creating artificial energy bands, meaning fields of energy that in some cases could be magnified. Hold on, I'm going to show you another case. This is a slide open magnifying glass there. Let me turn that on. You see the light come on? So imagine me holding 20,000 of these guys, the size of tractor and trailers. This is a magnifying glass, people. The size of tractor and trailers out, and letting the sun's energy heat this object up to a point to where the energy and the chemistry is reflected back in upon our world, or affecting the Earth's own magnetic fields. An interruption, an interference, a short circuit with what's going on with the rotation, not just the rotation of our world, but with the gravitational devices within as well too, and magnetic fields. So pretty much what I'm stating is that we look for all of these solutions to solving to the problems that we're having within our world, when we created all of this mess outside of our world, and no one has been discussing how to clean it up. I came up with the idea of how to get this stuff moved, towed, not back into our world, because it would actually create a hazardous scenario for our atmospherical layers, because this stuff created a problem with coming through in the first place. It's like, look at this as our eyeball, as your eyeball, and imagine microscopic beings flying in and out of your eyeball. Eventually what is going to happen is that it's going to affect your eyeball to the point to where you get an infection and a rupture occurs and you go blind. Well, this here is on a global scale, so you can imagine what is happening. So I could not see scientists or space explorers taking another chance of bringing this stuff back into through our atmospherical areas and cause a rupture of those layers. But I could imagine them taking and creating devices to tow this stuff to the moon, where they can recycle it in and make it into colony stations or something, or whatever they want to call it, to make their playground there on the moon, where it's not affecting the people here. Let me see here, because I did make notes. Let me see. Creating artificial energy bands. Again, these objects are metallic objects. You don't see no other metallic objects that are in space, people. I mean, granted, you have meteorites and all of this, that, and the third, but you do not have none that create a reflective energy, a scenario of reflective energy, where our sun is already sending in harmful radiated rays into our world. But now these objects create a scenario to where an artificial magnification is taking place, and it creates a laser-like energy that can alter not just the chemistry and the energy of our world at all points on the outside, but also out our world's core. It creates a scenario where it becomes hazardous for every being that is on the other side. Alright. Now, again, I'm going to go back to the sun and our planet. And we have microwaved energy on our world. Our world is an organic stone. It has organic life forms on it. Okay, so therefore, our sun being the energy of that of the microwave, our sun is on that microwavable plate being spun around, slowly thawed out, processed, as you would expect a piece of food in your microwave is being done. It's on a controlled scenario, or so we think. So our artificial interference with that, with placing all of those objects, again, these are just spoons and a butter knife. You got a tablespoon and a butter knife, but they're metallic. But for our scientists, our world scientists, because it's a bunch of scientists involved in doing this from each continent, placing objects the sizes of school buses and tractor and trailers to the tune of 20,000 in orbit around our world has not only altered the physical course of mankind, but also the chemistry with our world between the sun. There's an imbalance. And that imbalance is not just threatening our world, but everything that is on the inside of our world. Every living being is in threat, is in danger. Now, I don't know, I don't have no images up, but as we know that there are bands of energy that comes out of our world and come back in, okay? I think they're electromagnetic fields that come out. Imagine the chemistry, the imbalance that all of this, those objects that are having there, because they do not belong there. You don't see metallic objects, man-made metallic objects floating in that number any other world. This is uncharted waters for anyone to be doing this chemistry. Wherever you see things happening in space, they are happening in a uniform way where there is a separation of elements and materials. You do not see space debris in a litter of garbage form around a planet. So again, with me, people, think of what is happening. I'm going to take you, before I close this video, back to that microwave. That microwave is on. I toss these objects in there. A metallic spoon and a metallic butter knife. You will start seeing bzzz just before it blows. You ruin the microwave, people. How long are we going to keep this stuff here before it ruins our world or destroys us? Because this energy interruption, this is our umbilical cord between our world and space and to the sun. That's our umbilical cord of life. Now interfering with that is 20,000 pieces of space junk. This is altering not just the body temperatures of our world and interference with our world's electromagnetic fields. Imagine the imbalances that is causing with that of humans and other living beings. Pregnant mothers, you have a baby in your belly. If there is an interference, an alien object or alien objects between that that's in that umbilical cord that interferes with the lifeline between you and your unborn child in your belly, there's a problem. There's interference. There's a hazardous situation that calls for alarm. Our world is in trouble as a result of this. You cannot solve solutions of global warming, global catastrophes, and other concerning elements dealing with that of weather if this is more likely to be the contributing factor than anything else. I've linked this to 3 different scenarios, logical scenarios. One about UFOs, because any one of these could be a UFO sighting that is inside of a world through a projective chemistry, through the hazard that is creating from falling back to our world, to all given possibility that any one of these objects or them together in totality could be altering the chemistry, the biological chemistry between our world and the sun. My name is Gerone Wright. You're watching my Gerone Wright YouTube channel. And I'll catch you on my next video. Thank you.